I'm obsessed with Andrew Tate for two reasons. One, he's a successful con artist of men and women who continually gets away with it. And that makes me frustrated and obsessive on trying to prove and show people the truth of who he is who refuse to see it. And the reason I have such a impulse to do that is I have been conned myself. And so I understand that kind of cognitive dissonance and that back and forth, and just this kind of disbelief mixed with knowing that there's something not right in your gut. And so I just think it's really important, and that's why I do get fixated. And the other reason is that somebody that I really respect likes him, and so it makes me have an urge to over-explain and show him the truth as well, even though he is not receptive to it either. And so a lot of times people will act like, oh, you're so negatively obsessed with somebody because you secretly like them. You secretly love them. Like they say, every hater is a disillusioned fan, or I forget every hater is your biggest fan, something like that. And I understand that. There is a fine line between love and hate, because apathy is the opposite of love, true. But I really do consider he reminds me of people who have conned me. So it really is more about making people understand the truth of it so that they don't keep giving their energy and money and attention to him, because he feeds off of energy and attention. Yeah, and so it's really a strong trigger that is based on experiences and really just wanting to get to the bottom of this person and showing others, and having this need to understand how he keeps fooling people. It's interesting because one thing that we have such a fear of admitting when we've been fooled or duped, because it triggers our humility, embarrassment response, which just brings us to all those points when we've been embarrassed and we feel as though the world is laughing at us. And nobody wants to be in that state and admit that can happen, and they would rather believe that no, what I decided to believe about this person is right, and I'm strong, he's strong, we're all really strong people. But the thing is about deceivers is that they have an element of truth they have truth with lies. So there's lots of things you can latch onto that make them seem extremely credible and moral and smart and incisive, and you think to yourself, well, they can't be evil because of all of this good. But see, that's the paradox of human nature, is we all have both good and evil, and we just have to be able to recognize when somebody's evil to the point of they're getting into dark triad traits. They're getting into complete lack of empathy and a parasitic lifestyle where they are completely using others through deceit. They're actively practicing manipulation, deceit, and coercion. And we see that sometimes we'll see it so clearly in some situations, but then somebody else completely miss it. And that's pretty common. There's so many people that see through Andrew Tate, they didn't see through COVID. There's so many people that saw through COVID coercion, but they don't see it with Andrew Tate. And we're all susceptible to it because there is this level of all wanting to latch on to a quote savior or hero, and somebody that has a strength, and that means a strength in which they actually do seem a little bit bad, but just bad enough. And I think that's the appeal people have, but a draw to Andrew Tate that people have. But the thing is, at the end of the day, he might make some eloquent points about COVID and government control, but then he himself is practicing the same amount of control, deception, coercion, fraud that was utilized by government throughout time. So yes, you can call out the evil and corruption, and you can call out collective corruption, but if you're corrupt yourself, is that really somebody to be latching all your hopes and obsession on? Now, of course, I'm using the word obsession. Again, I get preoccupied with it because I think, can people really not see it, or do they know and they just want to minimize and mitigate? Because that's where I'm at now with the people that are still willfully ignorant about everything with him. I actually think that they do know, and they admire how he was able to deceive women, because they actually think that is top G, to be able to deceive and control women and make money off of them. I think that they do find that admirable. Like, I used to think, well, wouldn't you rather admire someone that actually creates something, not somebody that just is a con artist that is deceiving men and women? But now I'm seeing that actually, yeah, there's so much resentment toward women and feminism because of how feminism was man-hating. This is just the opposite kind of black-pilled movement of hating women because women hate men, and just creating more resentment in the culture. So anyway, that's why we need to get past resentment as a driving force for cults and collective groups, because right now all of the current cults are running high on resentment, and that brings about some of the worst evil in the world. So just consider how resentment can absolutely poison all of your relationships, your relationship to yourself most of all.